All right, welcome back to another episode of the Carter Cast. I'm your host, Carter Bond. I'm not even going to try and do a fake intro today. I don't have it in me. I'm not going to sit here and be like, welcome back, guys. I don't care.
Yeah.
Sports are dumb. I hate sports. Sports suck. Like, life is all. Like, everything sucks, man. Like, there is no worse feeling than having hope for your team and then they choke. There's no worse feeling.
No, there really isn't. So I'm gonna like you've got the floor here.
But before we get into today's episode, we are brought to you by SeatGeek. Download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com for $20 off your first purchase for whatever sporting event, concert. Ben, we're going to the Final Four this week.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to use to buy our tickets? Easy answer.
SeatGeek, of course.
Exactly. Download the SeatGeek app. Get $20 off your first purchase using code CarterCast. That's KARTERKAST for $20 off your first purchase. $50 minimum purchase required. Terms and conditions do apply. Download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com today to buy tickets. It's the best place to buy tickets. Yeah, I mean, let's just get it out of the way. Duke choked to NC State. They lost by 12. I think it was 76-64. I don't care what the score was. Score lied, whatever it was. The game was really 60-50. When they hit that three at the end to go up 8, it was game over with about 5 minutes left. Filipowski goes out, whatever. You can talk, like, every Duke fan can be like, oh, yeah, the refs suck. The refs were terrible. Whatever. Who cares? It doesn't matter. You don't lose to NC State. You can't lose to NC State. You're a 7.5-point favorite playing against an 11 seed in the Elite Eight. You're Duke basketball. You don't lose to NC State. You don't lose to a team right down the road who's much so like the problem with Duke right now. Like in 22, Duke is just a far more superior and talented team than Carolina. They lose, they choke, they blow it. This year, they are a far more superior, talented, and just a better team than NC State. Even a better coach team than NC State, as we thought. They choke and lose. Like, I know a lot of people will say, oh, it must be so easy being a Duke fan. Oh, it must be so fun being a Duke fan. Like, no. This sucks balls. This is awful. Like, this is terrible. Like, anybody, like, they're like, Duke fans have been through legit hell. Like, I don't want to hear crap from any Carolina fan. Like, NC State fans, they can talk because, I mean, dude, first Final Four in 41 years. That's different. But, like, these other blue bloods that want to talk this crap, like, Duke and Kentucky go through hell every single year, man. And everybody roots against those two teams. No one actually cares when Kansas loses. No one actually cares when Carolina loses. Everyone's like, oh, Carolina's out. Let's move on. We're fine. Duke loses. It's Nelson Muntz from The Simpsons. Ha ha. You guys suck. Suck it. You guys are the worst. It's just, I don't know, man. I almost would have rather lost to Houston. I almost would have rather lost to Houston and just get it out of the way, lose the game you're supposed to lose, and just, like, the false hope, man. Like, the fact I buy my Final Four flights back in, I don't even know, October, whatever. I don't effing care. Whatever it was. And I buy these flights, and I'm all in, and then the season, immediately I knew when the season started, I said, this is not a Final Four team. Literally, Arizona game, you go, whew, this team's got some work to do. I don't think it's going to click this season. And it didn't, and then all of a sudden, you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, we're one game away. We're a 7.5-point favorite against effing NC State. Mother effing Kevin Keatts is playing us in the Elite Eight. You could not ask for a better matchup in the Elite Eight. We get to play Kevin effing Keatts in the NC State Wolfpack, and we lose by 12, up 6 at halftime. I mean, it genuinely just couldn't have been worse. I hate sports. I can't emphasize that enough. I hate sports.
No, I get it. I was gonna ask you before you kind of brought it up yourself. Was the worst thing to happen to your emotions Jamal Shead getting hurt?
No,
because he doesn't get hurt. They beat you by 10.
I don't think
it's over.
By 10, though. I don't. Houston.
They win.
Do they? Like, yeah, they played well in the first half. I don't know. I don't want to.
They do. They do. They do.
No, stop that. Stop that. Who knows if they did? Houston is not a good team. Like, let's get that out of the way first. Like, I can't believe we all talked ourselves into Houston. This team was never, ever sniffing the national championship. Like, not even close. They were never
No.
going to get close to Purdue. They wouldn't have beaten Tennessee. They wouldn't have sniffed UConn. They probably would have lost to Alabama too. Like they probably would have lost to NC State if we're being honest.
I was gonna say they probably lose to NC State today. Either way,
NC State's a team of destiny, and I know it's a lot of sour grapes as a Duke fan. Let's talk about NC State real quick. Good for them. I'm genuinely happy for NC State fans because NC State fans have just been so getting boned left and right for years and years and years. For 41 years, they have seen their team just. I mean, imagine like. Ben, you're a Virginia fan. Just imagine Virginia Tech for 40 years is just without a doubt better than you year after year after year. They're winning national titles. They're going to Final Fours consistently. They're always winning the ACC tournament. And that's what NC State fans deal with. Like year after year, they have to see people 20 miles down the road, their other counterparts, their rivals, winning national titles, going to Final Fours. And they finally get one. It's a crazy run. It's unbelievable. Like I'm glad we didn't record 10 minutes after the game ended because I think I would have gotten canceled. I would have gotten kicked off the internet because I would have said some of the most horrible things you would have ever thought of. But I am happy for NC State fans. I really am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's one of those things where beating Houston, that just really ruined everything because, like, I don't think many Duke fans were really expecting to beat Houston. Like, maybe you convinced yourself you were going to, but, like, you didn't really think you were going to, and then you did, and then, like, you know, the circumstances were the circumstances as to why you did, but, like, obviously it's sort of like, okay, like, we did this, now we've got an 11 seed, like, we're cake, like, it's a cakewalk.
Yeah, I like. And I'll be fair too. Like, I wasn't going into this NC State game being like we're 100% winning. I genuinely thought when I saw the line come out at 7.5. I'm like, this is just purely wrong. Like, this doesn't make any sense. This should be a 3-point spread. I think Duke should have been favored by 3. Whatever. I mean, who cares? It doesn't matter. NC State won by 12, but it's just like, man, dude, like. I started believing. I wouldn't even let myself even during the Houston game, like before the Houston game, I'm like, this team's not making the Final Four. Like, even if we somehow upset Houston, we'll lose to Marquette or whatever. And then I just started thinking about it. I was like, oh man, dude, like I might be able to watch Duke on Saturday in Phoenix. I might be able to see Duke play in the Final Four again. Maybe avenge the Carolina one. Like, oh, who knows? Maybe Duke can upset Purdue. Oh, you know what? Like, Duke can go toe-to-toe with UConn. Who says they can't? Who says they can't? And it's just, hope is the worst thing that can happen to a sports fan. It's the best and worst thing.
Mm-hmm. No, it is. I can say, like, I personally, I've had my team be a heavy favorite playing a conference foe in the Elite Eight that's a double-digit seed. I've done that before and lost that game, so I definitely do feel where you're coming from. And look, I think the thing that sucked is that the benchmark for this team, like, honestly, like, the way that they went out is what makes it so brutal. But, like, if you guys had finished, like, honestly, like, regular season and everything, this was just not the Duke team you thought it was going to be. But if you found a way, no matter what way it is, to get to the Final Four, it doesn't matter if you lose to 10, 12, 15 to Purdue. It was a good season. Like, no, okay.
If we get to the like, that's what I was telling myself.
It's always good. Yeah.
If we got to the Final Four, Purdue's going to be a 6-point favorite, whatever, in that game. I would have gone to the Final Four. Like, yeah, I would have been like, oh man, that sucks. We lost to Purdue. But like, I genuinely don't think I would have been the least bit mad if we lost that game. I would have been like, you know what? Like, I know that sounds like loser talk, but like, this Duke team had no business. We watched this team all season, Ben. They had no business sniffing the Final Four. And then they were right there, up 6 at halftime, 20 minutes away from going to the Final Four. And they choked. They choked. They choked. They choked. They choked. They choked.
Is it crazy that I think they almost sort of lost it in the first half?
They did. That's a great point because I was watching the game. I said, this is a really, really, really bad sign. Duke is not up by 12 plus right now. They should have been up by 20, for being honest. NC State played horrifically, and Duke somehow just went down to their level. And Jeremy Roach played so bad in that first half. He was not good enough as a point guard running the point. He was so hurt in that game. Every timeout, you see him getting icy hot and the massages and everything. We're gonna come out. We've said this all season. Like it's gonna come out Tuesday. It's like, oh, Jeremy Roach having ankle surgery or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was one of those things where this team needed to be at full strength. Some of the same things that we talked about all season, like, kind of came to light. I think the fact that you guys didn't really have a real starting center was an issue. That was always going to be an issue. I think you hoped that everything else would overcome that being an issue, and it just wasn't good enough.
It would have been if the guards just hit shots, and they just didn't. Like, Proctor was flat out bad in this game. Even McCain, like, you look at his stats at the end of the game, that kind of lied. He hit 3 threes at the very end when it really didn't matter. Like, McCain was off. Roach was off. Like, there was no shooting. Filipowski couldn't hit a shot to save his life. They were just missing easy shots. And, like, NC State, great game plan, whatever. DJ Burns cooked us, whatever. But Duke and Marquette just missed so many wide-open shots. I mean, they just could not help themselves from missing wide-open layups and wide-open shots.
Yeah. I mean, that Marquette game was bad too, where it was just things where they would have like fast break opportunities and then try to find the guy on the wing and chuck the ball 3 rows into the stands. And you're just like, what are you doing?
Well, even like Jeremy Roach did that multiple times today.
Yeah, like that's why a lot of it's just hard because, like, I don't know, NC State, like, I think the best explanation is Team of Destiny, because, like, I just keep saying it's going to end.
Yeah,
I think it actually ends this upcoming Saturday, but, like, who even knows at this point? I don't know.
Yeah, like, do they sneaky match up perfectly with Purdue with Edey on Burns? Is that, like, the best possible matchup? Is Burns the only player in the country that can actually get Zach Edey into foul trouble and keep him off the floor? I guess it remains to be seen. We'll find out Saturday, but, like, like, watching this game, I remember this very vividly. It was 15-11 in the first half. Duke was up, and then NC State banks in a 3. I said, this is it. They're the team of destiny right here. DJ Horn banked in that 3, and I said, all right, there's just nothing you can do today. Every little 50-50 bounce, every shooter's touch roll, whatever State needed, it just went their way, it seemed like, and credit to them, man. I guess it just wasn't Duke's day, and that's the crap shoot of the tournament. I guess that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely a bummer because it just opened up for you guys. And that was like a last 48 hours kind of development. And that's what made it suck.
This is the matchups. This is the seeding. This is the run you pray for as a fan. You're like, oh my gosh, we can. Like, you know how we talked about in our bracket manifestos. It's like, oh, I'm gonna pick upsets around my team just so my team goes further. That's literally
and it happened.
They got that, and they still blew it. Yeah, man. And real couple last things on Duke. Anybody who's talking crap about John Shire, shut up. Like, dude's in his second year. He's in the Elite Eight. The dude won 27 games in back-to-back seasons. He's won an ACC title. Like, I just don't think the roster makeup was there. And, yeah, you can maybe blame that on him. But, I mean, Caleb Foster, if he's healthy, maybe that changes things. Like, that's crap. John Shire's a great coach, and he's going to be the Duke coach for decades to come. That's stupid. But I'll tell you what, man, looking forward to next season as a Duke fan. There's a chance maybe 1 or 2 players return.
I was going to say the same thing because I think the main guys who are playing are going to move on, partially because they want to move on, like Filipowski and McCain, but I also think, and potentially Roach as well, but I also think Shire's probably looking at this and being like, okay, like, we had like a great end of the run last season where we lost to Tennessee after Mark Mitchell got hurt. Like, we're bringing in, like, a solid freshman class. One of them is ready to, like, really, really contribute day one. The rest can be role player types. So, like, how about, like, let's just run this back. Just see how it goes. And guys just didn't take the steps that you were hoping they would. And that's sort of a bummer, but especially when you live in Duke's world, like, next guys are coming. So, it's time to to move past that, and instead of keep being like, oh, how do these freshmen fit in with Tyrese Proctor and Mark Mitchell? Like, if you're John Shire, you're thinking, how do these guys all fit around Cooper Flag?
Yeah, and also I will add to that, Duke doesn't have any commits in the 2025 class. I feel like that's the first time in forever Duke's maybe ever, where Duke doesn't have a single freshman commit in the 25 class. I wonder if Shire knew, hey, 24 is going to be our last year we go big on the one and done thing. And then it's just, hey, let's go for the transfer portal. Because guess what, man? Transfer portal's working. Look at every team in the Final Four right now. Besides maybe Purdue, it's portal guys, man. It's portal guys everywhere. NC State, that whole team's... like BYU gets a ton of crap for being old, but NC State, like, their youngest starter's, 23?
Yeah, no, they're super old. Like, I think when they showed their lineup, I think it was Diarra is a junior, and then the four other guys were graduates. Yep.
Yeah, like, G.J. Burns is in his 6th year of playing basketball, man. Like, I don't know, but... Also, Carolina fans who are talking crap, shut up. You guys lost in the Sweet 16 to Bama. Like, you guys were a better team, and you guys choked even harder. You guys let Jalen Withers, who's a 16% three-point shooter, take the biggest shot of the season. Like, that's a choke job right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that was bad. That was bad.
I know you're a Duke hater. You've been really nice to me. I'll give you that. You've been really nice. I know you were a little sneaky little, douchebag behind the scenes, been like, suck it, Duke. I hate you. Let's go. You're sitting here probably liking tweets left and right from people.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I know.
Yeah.
People try to be too nice to me up front. I can take the heat. I'll probably give you the best thing you'll hear on this podcast. We're going to do this right now. As of now, 2024, right after the NC State loss March 31st, these are my 5 worst Duke moments as a Duke fan. In the past 15 years, when I really know about Duke fans, but in the past 15 years, these are my worst moments / games as a Duke fan. Should I go 1 through 5 or 5 through 1?
5 to 1. All
right, we're going to go 5 to 1 on this. Number 5, Duke Lehigh 2012. I was at the game. That just sucked. I didn't have hopes of Duke making, like, I was younger. I was 12 years old, whatever. I didn't have hopes of Duke winning the national title that year. I think the writing was on the wall for that team. I don't know really how they ended up as a 2 seed. They weren't that great of a team. But yeah, Duke 2012 stings. Now, what I'm about to say now is number 4 is today, Duke NC State. Today, Duke NC State is the 4th worst game I've seen as a Duke fan. You're a 7.5-point favorite trying to go to the Final Four. You got to win that game. All-time choke job. The only reason I don't have this higher is because this team, really their ceiling was the second weekend, it felt like. And then number 3, I have Duke Kansas 2018, the Wendell Carter fake charge, Grayson Allen barely missing the toilet bowl at the buzzer. And then number 2, I think this is easy. It's Duke Michigan State, the Zion team in 2019. That one stung, man. Like, that one, like, it took probably about 3 days for me to realize, just sit there and be like, wow, I never get to see Zion Williamson play again in a Duke uniform. That was, like, the worst part of it. Like, missing the Final Four, whatever. But also, that Duke team, I think that Duke team was, like, obviously Texas Tech took Virginia to a close game, whatnot. But that Duke team had Virginia's number in 2019, and
really the only one who did.
Yes,
I'm not sure anyone else could beat Virginia.
I don't think they could have either.
Yeah,
that was a team of destiny if you want to talk about one. But
for sure.
2019 Duke, that Michigan State game, man, that one still stings. And then obviously number 1 Duke Carolina in 22, worst game ever, worst game of my life. And so, yeah, I mean it's gonna be like. This is going to be porn for Carolina fans seeing this clip, probably. It's awful.
Oh, it will be. It will be.
I hate my life.
No, they had a rough ending, too. So,
Like, why do we watch sports, Ben? Like, can I, like, genuinely ask you that? Like, why do we watch this? Because you and I root for the crappiest teams in sports. Like, I root for Duke. That's supposed to be my, like, okay, that's my awesome team. There we go. That's the team that's going to bring me joy. No, they somehow bring me more heartbreak than any other team. I root for the Charlotte Hornets. You root for the Pistons. They are the worst teams in NBA history of the last 20 years, basically. Or 19 years, whatever. And then we have the Panthers and the Lions. Like, the Lions are good now, but the Lions broke your heart. I mean, they were murdering the Niners, murdering.
Yeah, and they're good now, but they've literally never been good before, ever. No.
And but now you're like, and the problem is now you're a Lions fan with expectations.
I'm like it's Super Bowl or bust next year. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like a joke, but it's not. It's not.
But, like, because as a Panthers fan next season, where our over-under is like 4.5 games, I'm going to every Sunday. Like, I hope our team is fun to watch. That's the only thing I have going into games next season.
Like, is Bryce Young good? Yeah.
Yes. Every single game next season for you is, if we lose, I'm going to want to kill myself.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
I know people that listen to this, and you're not a soccer guy, but all my, like, I think as dudes, instead of going to therapy, we just put all our anxiety, depression, and emotional distress into our sports teams instead. And I think I might have to go to therapy if Liverpool doesn't win the Premier League. I think that's what's just going to happen, because now everything's shoved into Liverpool soccer. So I'm going to be sitting here on my couch at 5:30 in the morning every Saturday screaming at the top of my lungs for Liverpool, because I've got nothing else now. I've got nothing else in my sports life.
Yeah, no, that's rough. Especially, the Charlotte teams, of course, are rough. Duke.
What?
Yeah. Duke's supposed to. The problem is Duke is supposed to bring that to you. So whenever they don't, it's going to be worse, because it's like, I expected more from you.
Yes, and yeah, man, I don't even know, dude. This sucks, man. Like, how do you lose to NC State? Like, how do you lose? Like, I think I've said this 500 times today. How on earth did we lose to Kevin Keats in the Elite Eight? In NC State, like, but last thing on NC State, man, it feels like 83, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about some parallels from 1983 for NC State. They're not exact, but they're eerily similar. I would say the Goliath of the 2010s and the modern era of college basketball is probably Duke, but during the 80s, it was Ralph Sampson and Virginia during that run in 83. NC State, in their ACC tournament run, they had to win every single game. They had to win it. They had to beat Michael Jordan and Carolina. They had to beat Carolina this year in the ACC title game. They did that. And then in 1983, they had to beat Virginia and Ralph Sampson in the ACC title game. And they did that. And then they repeat and end up playing Ralph Sampson and Virginia again in the Elite Eight. And then they get to play Duke again in the Elite Eight, as they did in the tournament, and they beat them both times. And Duke beat them in the regular season. The parallels are insane. That it just feels like 83, man. There's something going on in the air for NC State.
Yep. And I especially, like, we've talked about this, I feel somewhat responsible as a Virginia fan.
I feel fully responsible now. I have 2 shots. I had 2 shots as a Duke fan.
Yeah. No, true, but, like, Virginia is the one team out of one game that NC State's had in this stretch where they were done. They were killed. It was over.
Yep.
And then we just handed it to them.
Handed it.
Yeah. So that's something that it's just crazy that that can happen, and that they make the Final Four.
I ask you this: should Tony Bennett get a national championship ring if NC State somehow wins it all?
Sure.
I think he should, because without him, without his terrible coaching mistakes, NC State's not here. Kevin Keats is on the street right now looking for a job. He's on Indeed.
It's crazy, because now, I think that's going to make it frustrating. It's going to make it really frustrating for NC State fans. Here's the part where where I'm a little negative. After they lose by 15 to Purdue this upcoming Saturday, and then they're sort of the same thing that they've been for 3 more years, That's going to be really tough.
Is this
to
just
stomach.
like Josh Pastner's Georgia Tech run on steroids?
I think so. Maybe not. Maybe like making the Final Four, having fun players, like maybe that turns a corner where he can get whoever he wants.
Yeah, because
I don't
portal
know.
guys are going to come in. Like if you're a portal guy, you're like, oh my gosh, like I could be a part of this at NC State now. Like I see the vision. I've seen it. I've seen what Kevin Keatts can become and what his teams can be. Like this is huge for recruiting. It can't be understated how big this is. I wanted to ask you this. I know it's tough because we don't have immediate stats and we didn't really necessarily prep for this exact question. But is this the most impressive Final Four run in history? This NC State team?
Yes, because they're playing Tuesday of the ACC tournament, and that's included in this run.
Yes. I
think so.
I 100% agree. I think it's easily the most impressive Final Four run because they have now played 9 straight sudden death games. Louisville, Syracuse, Duke, Virginia, North Carolina, Texas Tech, Oakland, Marquette, Duke, and now they're in the Final Four. Kevin Keatts was down at halftime to Louisville. Like, he is fired Tuesday night if they lose. And now this team went 17-14 in the regular season, and they've won 9 straight games to make it to the Final Four. I think it's easily the most impressive Final Four run I've ever seen. It doesn't make sense, and I don't think it's getting talked about enough how insane this is. Like, yeah, they got their love on social media for beating Duke today, but I think they just got their love on social media because anybody who beats Duke, everyone's going to love and be happy about, and DJ Burns is a likable character and a likable player. But I think that's it. I don't think people are just talking about how insane this is.
Yeah, no, like I think like you really need to include the ACC tournament run part of it to really get the full context.
5 days is absurd. You don't do it.
That's why, like when Virginia was playing NC State, like I was like, we're not losing.
That's how I felt.
They're gonna be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 3 games in 3 days when they played Duke. 4 games in 4 days when they played Virginia.
Yeah. Once they beat you guys, I was like, okay, well we'll handle them. And then once they won, I was like, okay, well, UNC will clean things up. Nope. Crazy.
Nope.
Insane.
Nope. It's Kevin Keatts' world, and we all live in it, I guess.
Yep. He's a winner. Kevin Keatts is a winner.
Kevin Keatts
and I'm not saying that sarcastically for the first time ever.
First time ever, exactly. Let's talk about some other games. I'm done, Thank you for coming to my therapy session about Duke basketball. Let's move on. Let's talk about Tennessee-Purdue. This game was fun until it wasn't. It became just like, okay, we know the result. Like Tennessee brought it within 3 late. It was like 63-60. And then Purdue kind of had that dagger 3. And when they went up 6, you knew it was over with a couple minutes left remaining. What do you feel about Purdue, man? Like, is it... Like, do you like this run? Are you annoyed by this run? Because I don't necessarily know how I feel because I respect it, but I don't like watching it.
Yeah, no, I feel like it would have really been rough if they lost this game.
Yeah.
Like, rough. So I'm glad, like, I feel like the Final Four is their validation, but, like, obviously, like, as a Virginia fan, like, I know some Virginia fans who are like, oh, I'd love them to do what we did. Like, I'd rather them not. They got enough vindication. I would like to leave that as a Virginia thing. So, like, I don't know. Like, I like that they made it, especially, like, I'm happy that the 2 best teams are in the Final Four. And that makes it fun. I think this Purdue team, I like to see that they didn't just completely flame out. And losing a really tight game to Tennessee would have been really, really, really rough. And they deserved to win. Zach Edey stepped up. He was great. He was great. He and Connect were great.
And everyone will talk about how Zach Edey's officiated. It's impossible, man. It's impossible to decide because I agree with people because I just feel like the refs, it's just a 50-50 guess, and they're anticipating the call, and they're just like, I think this one's going to be a foul. Whistle, and they call it, and it's not. And then the next one, they let go, but it's a clear foul. It's impossible to ref this guy.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. it makes it tough. I think that's why it'll be interesting when they play NC State, because I think DJ Burns is a similar type of guy where people don't know how to officiate him. Because he's a big body who's trying to draw a lot of contact, and like the defenders are not as big, obviously, and they're trying to like use force to like combat that, and that's almost always a foul. But because it's him, you sort of need to like not call it. But then he's pissed because he's not getting the call. But like at the same time, the ref's kind of like, "Come on, man! Like I gotta let him do something." So I think that matchup will be interesting from a ref perspective. We need bring in the big guns. Bring in like TV Teddy for NC State, Purdue.
Yes.
Yeah, like that. That's gonna be a ref game, big ref game.
Yeah. It'll be a big time ref game. Real quick, briefly on Tennessee. Dalton Connect played out of his mind, man. Like, there's nothing more he could have done. It's just a shame we only got to see him for this year at Tennessee.
It is, because he's someone who, like, basically became good at basketball at, like, 21 years old.
Yes.
So,
that's what it seems like.
And you know why they kind of lost, and I hate saying this, because, like, I do like Tennessee as a program. I like Rick Barnes. But the problem is they had Dalton Connect, and then everything else was classic Tennessee. Played really good, like, brute kind of defense, but no one else could buy a bucket, and that's what killed him. Connect tried to carry. He just needed a little help. He needed a second guy to step up. Like, you know, everyone sort of scored, like, 5, 7, but he needed, like, Zakai Ziegler to put up, like 20. And if, like, he did that, like, they win by 7 here. They're just not as good as Purdue. Tennessee's a top 5 team in the country. Purdue's better. Purdue's top 2. So,
yeah, and we knew that. We talked about this. We knew this was going to be the Elite 8 matchup, Purdue-Tennessee. And we knew we both were like, I want to see Tennessee win because we like seeing Connect play, but we knew Purdue was going to win. We knew Purdue was going to win this game.
Yeah, no, them to the Final Four, that was the easiest region for me.
Yeah, and
it was.
Yay! I still have my national champion in my bracket. Boo hoo! Like, Ben, I don't think you're grasping this. Kevin Keats is in the Final Four, and it's our fault. It's both of our faults.
It is
doubly my fault because we lost to him twice in this run.
I think we might need to recirculate the NC State clip, or the chart.
Which one? Oh,
the chart.
The like NC State every season.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I think doing that also did it.
But we'll talk about the Final Four. I just can't believe Kevin Keats is in the Final Four. Let's briefly go over these games because Saturday's games were pretty lame. Bama Clemson was fun for a little bit, but holy crap, man! Like, I really try not to be the refs guy during games. I'm gonna be a refs guy, but when I like settle down and whatever, or if I have money on the game, like I'll be a refs guy. But after the game, I'll be all right. Let's calm down. Even after the game, a day later, what these refs were doing to PJ Hall in this tournament was unfair. He was getting it was phantom calls. It was fake calls consistently throughout this tournament for PJ Hall. I think he fouled out in every single tournament game, and I would say in each of those tournament games, 3 out of those 5 foul calls weren't even remotely close to being fouls. It was ridiculous how he got officiated. If I'm a Clemson fan, I'm furious. I am livid how he got officiated in this tournament.
No, that was rough, especially that last call was just like
the last
bogus.
Call was so bad.
Yeah, and look, like, as we talked about not being a refs guy, like, of course that had an impact on the game, but like I did feel like this game came down to the second half was one of those, oh, this is a Bama make every shot stretch, and that was the difference. If they can continue that on going forward, they can continue winning games against whoever they play. But they are also prone, I've said this, and it's going to make me sound like a hater, but I don't mean for it to be. Like, once it crashes, if it crashes, they're going to burn. It's going to be bad. Like, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, I mean, if you make it to the Final Four, who cares?
Yeah, no, I think that's the right counter. But I guess my point is, like, not to preview things too much, but, like, don't be shocked if UConn has one of those, like, absolutely avalanche wins. It could happen. There's a world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think for sure. Going back to the Clemson side of things, will anybody from this Clemson roster be playing for the Clemson Tigers next season?
Shefflin.
Maybe? Like, who knows? Maybe he gets a big NIL deal somewhere else.
That'd be awesome. Like, he's fun.
Yeah, maybe he goes to Virginia. Who knows?
Dude, that's funny because, like, after the Clemson-Virginia game this past year, like, in the press conference, they asked about things Clemson was doing, and Tony Bennett was like, "Oh, Shefflin. That guy, like," and I was like, yeah, that feels like the new Ben Vanderplas. Like, that's perfect.
Mike Tobey, but improved. The Mike Tobey 2.0 experience.
Yes, but like 5 inches shorter. Yeah.
But yeah, Bama, Clemson, fun game, close game, whatever, until the end. Mark Sears went bananas. Mark Sears is also not being talked about enough as he's the guard of this tournament.
Yeah, no, he is, but like quietly.
Yeah, like he's easily been the best guard in this tournament. Like you compare it to the teams that are remaining, like DJ Horn's been awesome, don't get me wrong. Newton and Braden Smith have been great too, but he has been putting Bama on his back and carrying them throughout this tournament.
Yeah, he's easily their best player. Grant Nelson had a great game against UNC, but like otherwise it's sort of like it's a Mark Sears in company.
Yeah, it's Mark Sears, and what other random player is going to step up? Is it going to be Rylan Griffin? Is it going to be Grant Nelson? Is it going to be Stevenson out of nowhere? He had like 2 good games. He's Alabama's Cormac Ryan and just goes off for some reason out of nowhere. But real quickly, we don't have to spend long on this one. UConn, Illinois. UConn murdered them. That 30-0 run was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It was pathetic by Illinois. If you're an Illinois fan, that's just pathetic. You can't give up a 30-0 run. I don't care if you're playing the Harlem Globetrotters or the Golden State Warriors. You don't give up a 30-0 run.
Yeah, and especially something I hated about that whole thing is when they're like, hey, Donovan Clingan is destroying you. What are you going to do? And Brad Underwood goes, well, nothing. It's like, what?
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is like everyone's talking about all these big men have been fantastic. It's like, okay, at some point, can these teams stop just going directly in, just trying to go one-on-one against these big guys? They're 10 inches taller than these guys. They're 100 pounds bigger. Why do you keep going into Clingan? Why do you keep going into Edey? Like, they're not calling these fouls. These guys are going straight up. You're missing the shot every single time because your guy's scared. Go put them in space. Nobody's putting these bigs in space in this tournament.
Yeah, and another thing that goes along with that is no one's special in that regard. No one can overcome that. Like, for example, Terrence Shannon and Marcus Damask. You were talking about Sears being the guard of the tournament. Those two are both, like, maybe the guards of the tournament if they win. Like, both of them. They've been so good. They've been so good. Neither of them could do it. They got humiliated trying to do that. Same thing with, he didn't do this, like, the entire game, but Dalton Connect went at Edey at the end of that game. Got swatted. That's the best non-big in the country, easily. And that happened, you know?
Yeah. All right. We have our Final Four. It's Purdue, NC State, and it's UConn, Bama. We'll briefly go over this. We'll do a big preview on Wednesday morning, like I mentioned before. UConn, Bama. Spread is 11.5, I believe. You think UConn rolls this one?
I think so. The one thing that I think is interesting is Bama's ability, or they're not going to just want to go at Clingan. They're going to want to just shoot a bunch of threes. So we'll see how that works.
I like Bama. I have a strategy for this
spread.
Final Four. No, money line. The money line's too tasty. Hear me out. This is my. I'm gonna try this out.
I like it.
When we go to Phoenix, this is what I'm gonna do. Also, over 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 points. There is gonna be so many points in this game. 161.5 is not enough points because guess what? If UConn wins this game, they're gonna score 120 points because like if UConn wins this game and kills them, they're scoring 120 points, and Bama's not coming out of a game and not scoring at least 70 points.
Yep. Bama can't defend either, so.
Bama can't defend either, exactly. But my strategy for the Final Four is I'm just going to take both underdogs money lines. Straight
Okay.
up. I'm going to take NC State money line, and I'm going to take Bama money line and hope for the best. I think one of them win.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where you're hedging kind of your emotions a little bit, because if you don't get that, you get the two best teams in the country playing for the national title on Monday night. And that's okay, too.
I don't really care about that.
Okay.
I don't think I care about that.
Really?
I want NC State to win. I genuinely want NC State to win. I think the funniest outcome for this season is Kevin keeps lifting the title in Phoenix. He's cutting down the nets.
Most outstanding player, DJ Burns.
Yes,
oh, man.
The most outstanding player of the tournament, DJ Burns, and the NC State Wolfpack cut down the nets in Phoenix. I think that's what I want. What do you?
That is funny.
Out of these Final Four teams, when you're looking at them, you're like, what's your rooting interest in this?
I say, like, I don't know. Personally, I just have not had good experiences with NC State's fan base as a whole.
Okay.
Just don't like them. ACC foe. I am not a fan of Alabama for reasons a calendar-ish year ago. Didn't love that. So don't really. So with that being said, I kind of want to see the two best teams in the country play, especially since we didn't get that last year, and we didn't get that the year before, and we really haven't had it since it was Gonzaga Baylor. I hope this one fares better than that, but like if we can get those two, like kind of be in person for a heavyweight battle with the team trying to repeat as champions, trying to defend the national title, plus the team that's the 16 seed redemption team, I think that storyline is perfect. So like in the game, I'm not sure if I'm going to be like, man, I'm really UConn's down 7 to Bama. Come on. I need UConn to win this. But like, I'm sort of like, if the underdogs aren't going to pull it out, I would love to see the favorites go at it.
Okay. At this point, like I don't want to see Bama in the title game. I don't think I do. Like, I mean, the parallels would be insane if it's UConn versus NC State in the title game. Because there is not one person on planet Earth that would say NC State's beating UConn. And that's kind of how it was in '83 against Houston.
Mm-hmm. No, that would be amazing. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've been devastated all day. I'm still sad. I'm gonna wake up sad. I'm gonna have to go to work sad, and everyone's gonna be like, Duke lost, whatever. You know, there's nothing worse than going to have to do life after a big loss for your sports team. There's nothing worse.
And like even the pity. The pity's just as bad.
That's the worst part. No, I want people to be like, haha, Carter, suck it, they lost. I'm like, I can take that. When people are like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? They lost. Like, obviously I'm okay. Obviously my life isn't ruined from 18-year-olds not winning a basketball game. But I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, but I'm mad. Still mad.
Yeah, I'm still sad. But like, don't give me pity. I'm an adult. Quit doing that. But I'm going to be upset that 18-year-old kids are not winning basketball games for the team I root for.
As you should. At the school you don't go to.
At the school I don't go to. And I
I do too.
If I even tried.
Same. Yeah. I'm in the same boat, so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, that'll do it from us. Then Final Four, man. We're going to be there. I'm excited. We'll preview everything. We'll get into stuff. We'll do a little Phoenix talk on Wednesday's pod. We'll get into that. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for following along all season long. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on @BDHammond, @CarterBA, @CarterCast on all social media. Subscribe, rate, review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Subscribe. YouTube, hit the like button, comment, whatever. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's episode. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.